Thank you. A very good evening to everyone out here. I won't take individual names because I know a lot of people out here, a lot of known faces, a lot of family friends, a lot of people I keep meeting, and also the excellencies present here. A very warm and good evening. Warm indeed, of course, but good evening to everyone. I think Sanjeev ji just said that he's going to visit the museum very soon with his kids. Tasneem ji, I have a better promise. I'll come before that, because if I say with kids, it's still going to be a long, long time. I'm not even married as yet. But obviously, when I stepped into the museum today, and when I stepped in as someone who's a history student, and I see a member of my class out here, she's sitting right there. We were, of course, not very deep into history when we were back in college, because, of course, we were more in our courtyard rather than the classroom. But when you step into this museum, the first thing that hits you is the awe of the building, the wonder, the beautiful color scheme, the architecture, the splendor of the building. That's the first thing that hits you. And as you move along, I think she heard me say wow at almost every display. And that's what is beautiful about this museum, that we do not know. A lot of us living in Mumbai still do not know about this museum, or we haven't stepped into this museum. I was just telling Sanjeev Kumarji that we should probably from June onwards, when our schools start off, we should have all our schools, be it government schools, municipal schools, private schools, have a tie-up with the buses, with the BST, and get them here so that at least we can let them see what our past is. Walking through the museum, of course, gives you an insight into what a beautiful past that we've had as a city of Mumbai that has evolved from, yes, of course, there is now controversy or other debate about how many islands really existed, whether there were 7, whether there were 3, and whether, what came about. But what is beautiful and what is continued today, and what this museum really symbolizes about our city, Mumbai especially, if we take our city outside the context of the entire Indian subcontinent, that this city was always built on public-private partnership. It was never claimed that this was made by a particular government. It was never claimed to be made by an empire. It was never claimed to be made by a public institution fully, and it was never also claimed to be made fully by a private institution. It was always a partnership. From 2003, what we are seeing out here, and the beauty that has come out here in terms of the museum, is again this public-private partnership. And I think this is the spirit of Mumbai that we always speak about, and this is how we should go ahead. Obviously, when I walked into the museum, I was going through it, and I was just, going through the book in terms of 101 objects that really make our city and that have been, displayed out here. Today is 150 years from that day, the 2nd of May, when the doors were first opened, 150 years ago. 150 years and about 15 days into this museum. 101 objects that made the city, and you've beautifully captured them in that coffee table book. I think one of the things I'm going to bring about in our regular weekly meetings that we have with BMC, MMRDA, other planning agencies, and speak about, is that this museum visit, actually, how much ever hope it gives me, joy it gives me as a history student, has also put a lot of pressure on me from this moment on. And I've been, my heart rate's been up, because say 50 years down the line, if you have to look back, when 200 years are completed, and when you look at 101 objects that made the city from this day onwards, what will we as politicians show our future generations? I think that's a thought for all of us to ponder on, and not just politicians, all professions. Today, we have started looking at documenting our city better. We've started looking at different aspects of the city. I was just telling Tasneem ji that a couple of months ago, we started a beautiful heritage walk in the BMC building. And I've been going to the BMC building with my grandfather, with my father, with so many mayors, with so many corporators. A lot of the corporators also who've sat on those benches. And I know one who's Yasir ji. You must be, of course, with your interest in history, knowing a lot about it. But how many of us know who all sat there? What is the contribution of theirs to nation building? And what are we behaving as when we compare ourselves to those people who sat on the same benches as us? This very same spirit is for the police. The very same spirit is for the government. The very same spirit is for something like the BST that completes 75 years on this 7th of August. We have a city that is deeply entrenched into history. We have layers and layers of heritage, legacy, history, a beautiful past that has brought us here that has attracted billions of people around the world, millions of people within our own country, within our own state, to come here and make this the city of dreams? Why is this the city that really attracts so many people, creates so many aspirations, and makes people chase the dreams? The spirit of Mumbai, whenever we speak about it, and that's sort of become also a little negative word, I know, because whenever something bad happens, or whenever there is an apathy from a civic agency and then people keep going on with it with the chalta hai attitude, we say, no, this is the spirit of Mumbai, we carry on. No, that is not the spirit of Mumbai. The spirit of Mumbai that I am talking about is about chasing our dreams, not fearing the aspirations, and moving ahead. I think that is what I'm looking at. So the other day when I was speaking at an association of all the real estate developers, I said the same thing. I said, look, whenever you are creating a building, it may be an individual building or a new big housing scheme, just think of the fact that you are not creating a single building. You are creating the identity of a city. You are creating the facade of a city. When we go around town, when we look at Nariman Point, when we look at the entire Oval Maidan area, when we look at the Gothic buildings there, when we look at the Art Deco buildings there, those are the remnants that we need to take inspiration from. Today, what saddens me deeply is, as political parties and as a part of that fraternity, and not just political parties, probably a lot of us, looking at TV debates, looking at news, looking at the articles, we are fighting over what happened in the past. We are fighting over what happened 25 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years ago. We are not fighting for our future. We are not doing something for it today. And Tasneem ji, here is where I would really require your help about how do we document what is happening today? How do we actually create records about what can we do today, what can we preserve for the future? Some of the things that we are doing as the tourism department and as also the BMC is, of course, the Victoria Tangas that were banned by the court, by the Honorable Court for the horses. We've got electric Tangas back into the city. So that is something again which is being appreciated by a lot of people. We are looking at, of course, like I said, the Heritage BMC building. We've started tours there. We've started tours at the High Court. We want to start off with the JJ College. I see a lot of people come here to the zoo, but I hope a lot of people will walk into the museum. You would be also very happy to know that we're also giving this beautiful warm illumination to the buildings around Oval Maidan, the historic buildings of the Mumbai University, the High Court, and so many more. But going forward from here, I think what we really need is an extension to this museum, and this is what we've been speaking about. So as someone who's a part of this city, as a citizen of Mumbai, as a Mumbaikar, I would want to tell you that the extension is our dream as well. And let's not keep it at dreams. June 1st week, let's sit together and let's see how we can execute this. I think that is the commitment we want to make from here. मला वाटतं मी आता जे सगळं बोललेलं आहे, सर्व मुंबईकरांच्या वतीने मी आपले खूप आभार मानतो. नीरजजी आपले देखील आभार मानतो. गोदरेज मॅडम आपले देखील आभार मानतो. कारण आपण जे काम करत आहात ते मुंबईसाठी खूप महत्त्वाचं आहे. मुंबई जसं मी सांगितलं, BSc आहे आपल्याकडे, किती जुन्या शाळा आहेत, कॉलेजेस आहेत, सगळं आहे आपल्याकडे. पण हे प्रोटेक्ट करणं, हे प्रिझर्व्ह करणं, ह्याची ब्युटी जी आहे ते देशाला दाखवणं, जगाला दाखवणं, हे मला वाटतं आपलं काम आहे. आणि जर हे आपण करत गेलो तर अर्थात टुरिझम तर वाढेलच, पण ॲज मुंबईकर्स आपण आपल्या शहराची जास्ती ओनरशिप घेऊ शकू. आपण थोडंफार नोटीस करत असाल की जे काही आपलं हेरिटेज प्रिसिंक्ट आहे तिथे आम्ही जुने दिवे लावण्याचा प्रयत्न करतो, स्ट्रीट लाईट्स असतील, फुटपाथ्स त्या ह्यानी करायचा प्रयत्न करतोय, बस स्टॉप्स नवीन करायचा प्रयत्न करतोय, जे ते चार्म परत आणू शकेल. माझे वडील जे आहेत मुख्यमंत्री आहेत ते एक असेल मुंबईकर आहेत. मला वाटतं त्याचा आपण चांगला उपयोग करायला पाहिजे मुंबईसाठी आणि मुंबईला पुढे नेलं पाहिजे. थँक्यू वन्स अगेन फ्रॉम द बॉटम ऑफ माय हार्ट फॉर इन्व्हायटिंग मी हिअर. It's a great honor for me as a student of history, as a history buff, to be the chief guest at this beautiful museum and this ceremony. I hope we can do better things, greater things for our city, for our state, for the people, and for the museum that actually remembers us in the future. Thank you. Jai Hind, Jai Maharashtra.